In this video, I will discuss how to use Spring property source annotation in our Spring application. Spring provides property source class to represent name value property pairs. It can include Java properties objects, map objects. To add property source to Spring's environment, Spring provides property source annotation. Property source annotation is used in conjunction with configuration class. Using property source, we can load the entry job.properties file to Spring's environment. We can fetch value job.properties file using value and environment. To load more than one property file, we can group property source annotations using property source annotation. Sources annotation. Now let us see the example how to work with property source annotation. I have created two properties file, myconfig1.properties and have some sample data. Another is myconfig2.properties. Okay. In our Spring Boot application.properties file and application.yml file are loaded by default if they are in class path, and using property source annotation we can use custom name and custom location for our properties file. Here I am creating a folder myconf inside class path, and I have created two properties file, myconfig1.properties file, myconfig2.properties file. Now we will read data of this property file in our configuration file. Look at here. Use property source, and if the file is in class path, we can use the word class path and then the location, and if more than one properties file are there, use more than one time property source annotation and group them with property sources annotation. In this way, the data of myconfig1 and myconfig2 properties has been loaded to Spring's environment. Now we can read those data using value annotation or environment. Here in my application I am using environment to get data from this properties file. Look, I have created a bean country. It has name and capital and setter getter methods, and city, name, DM, country name and setter getter methods. So what I am doing is I am getting data country name, country capital, that is mentioned in my config1.properties. I can get this value from environment env.getProperty, country.name, env.getProperty, country.capital, and I have set this data to country. Okay. In the same way, for the city, I am reading data from my config2.properties. It has city.name and city.dm. Okay. env environment.getProperty, city.name, env.getProperty, city.dm, and country.name. This is in my config 1. Okay. In these three values, 2 is from my config.2 properties and country.name is from my config.1 properties. In this way, we read the data from my config1 and my config2 properties file and accessed its values using environment. We can also access its value using value annotation. Now let's print this data. In my Spring Boot application, I am just printing the data. Okay, let's run it. we can see that data is being printed. So in this way, in this video, we loaded the data of config properties file and read it from environment. Okay, thank you.